Welcome to another episode of Bearcats Mean Business, a new podcast from the University of Cincinnati's Carl H. Lindner College of Business. My name is Grant Freaking, Manager of College Communications and Marketing at Lindner, speaking to you from the second floor of Lindner Hall. Today, I am joined by Bella Gullia, an Assistant Director in Lindner's Career Services Office, to demystify co-op at Lindner. Thanks for joining me, Bella.
Hi, Grant. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start simple. What is co-op and what makes co-op at Lindner a unique experience for our students?
Yes, so co-op stands for cooperative. And in the Lindner College of Business, we have a lot of flexible ways a student can obtain a cooperative experience. Ultimately, it needs to be a paid professional opportunity that is related to a student's business degree here in Lindner.
There's also been some changes to the way we do co-op at Lindner, some exciting new developments. Tell us more about universal co-op and what our first-year students are partaking in this year.
Yes, so as we have been looking to expand and grow as a college and also university, we've recognized the need for a co-op requirement for our students here in Lindner. And the nice thing about adopting this is that it's already very much in the culture here at Lindner for students to be going on co-op.
Sure is.
So over the next few years, we've already started and we will be continuing to roll out this requirement. Our honor students have a 3 co-op requirement in order to graduate. Mm-hmm. That started last year.
Yep.
And then next year, fall of 2024, we will have a co-op universal requirement for all traditional first-year students to do 2 experiences, 2 co-ops before they graduate. In the in-between, this year, we have rolled out a program called the Co-op Trailblazer Scholars Program, where we had over 200 students apply to be part of this program. They opted in to say, yes, we want to commit and do 2 co-ops before we graduate college. And so we've been meeting with this program, these students, in individual meetings as well as specialized events and sessions very tailored towards them to help them find success in obtaining co-ops quicker that are quality experiences for them to get in order to graduate.
Sure. And what was the sense you've gotten? What is the sense you've gotten from students as to why they opted in? Like, as you mentioned, it's a voluntary opt-in. What are some of the reasons you've heard from some of our first-year Trailblazer scholars about why they decided to take up this requirement?
Yeah, well, a lot of them, when we ask, why did you come to UC? Why Lindner? A lot of them they were already saying, I really want to be part of a co-op program. And so as we've been rolling out this opt-in program for students, we've noticed, they want to make that commitment because they know it's part of the brand of UC to go on co-op, to have that professional experience. And so they are committing, they are really excited and interested from the jump to say, yes, I want that to be part of my degree requirement. And again, it's very much in the culture of our college to do this. And so the fact that they are going a step further and committing that they want it to be part of their academic requirements, I think speaks to that culture, but also their excitement and interest in really diving into it.
Sure. It's almost like a recommitment of why they decided to come to Lindner in the first place, because they probably wanted to co-op at some point, but now this is kind of offering them an early pathway, kind of, sort of.
Exactly. And some of the specialized events we've been doing with them has been, helping them expand their network sooner, make more relationships with employers and alumni earlier on than if they would have waited to sophomore or junior year to start exploring an internship opportunity, which could be looked at as a little different.
Sure. Let's shift a little bit to your office and Lindner Career Services. Explain to our listeners how Lindner Career Services works for students, but also works for our employer partners.
Yes. So something really unique about Lindner Career Services at the University of Cincinnati, we are the only career center across the whole university that is dedicated in-house to, in our case, the College of Business, which is really special because through that, we're able to take a major specific approach. So
right.
Across our office, we have a career coach dedicated to every single major in the Lindner College of Business. This is really special because students are able to make specific and tailored relationships with our office and with their career coach in ways in which that we're then able to see okay, here are your interests, here are your skill sets. You're just getting started. Here are some really great opportunities that would be great for you specifically. Or, oh, you've had a few co-ops already. here are some other great opportunities that is kind of like the next level up. And we have that relationship with these students because of this model.
That personalized approach has to mean everything to the student too, especially once you get them past maybe that first introductory meeting where maybe they're a little anxious or nervous to talk to a stranger working in a career services office. But once you get past that first meeting, I imagine that they kind of open up and they tell you a little bit more about their interests, and then you can use your experience and point them in the right direction.
Yeah, it's really special. And it's, I think, the thing I love most about what I do is that I get to build relationships with these students and see them from, first year, not really sure what I want to do, all the way through graduation of like, wow, I've pieced everything together of who I am and what I'm interested in. And I've gotten to kind of walk alongside that.
Bella, how does Lindner Career Services support students who are actually enrolled in the Universal Co-op program, the Trailblazer Scholars?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, we meet with students one-on-one. We call them individual coaching appointments. We also, through our office, teach a class called Career Success Strategies. It's a first-year class. All of our Trailblazers are enrolled in it. And in that setting, we're going over a lot of big picture pieces to finding a co-op, creating your resume, interviewing, networking, navigating a career fair. So they're getting that broadly in the classroom, but then also more detailed, more specific in our coaching appointments. And then in addition to all of that, we are having specialized events for the Trailblazers. So we had 2 in the fall, our initial meeting where all of the Trailblazers got to meet one another. They got to meet our team, Career Services, and we went over kind of, what does it look like to be a Trailblazer? What will this experience look like for you this year? What are your commitments? We also had an alumni panel, which was great for the students to, again, expand their network, meet alumni, understand what you can do with various degrees, because it's not always a linear path.
Right.
And then this spring, we'll be having a few other specialized events, with the big end of year culmination being a large networking kind of speed dating type event where hopefully, again, students are expanding their network, meeting employers, making those professional connections that will then lead to co-ops.
So it sounds like a combination of giving them the big picture, showing them the career outcomes, but also the personalized sort of step-by-step approach that what your office can provide to them.
Yeah. And it's nice too, because our office not only is working with students, but we also work directly with employers. And so sometimes, we'll have an employer come to us because we have this very specific model. Hey, I need a finance student for this type of position. Do you know anyone? And because of these relationships that we have with our students, we're able to make those direct connections, which is really special.
Students, go see your career counselors
Yes.
in Lindner Career Services.
Yeah, come see us.
So what are some common and maybe some unorthodox ways for students to gain co-op experiences, whether they're first-year students, which is a little bit tougher, admittedly, for them, but in their second and third years especially?
Yeah. Some common opportunities or ways in which co-op can look like, of course, we have the summer experience between the academic years. I think that's a very, very common way for students to do a co-op. It really should be 10 to 15 weeks. Anything less than 10 weeks, you won't really gain a lot of skills or experiences that you can speak to later on. So that would be a common way. We also, again, we offer very flexible options for students. So we see a lot of students who will co-op in the fall or in the spring and offset their classes. Maybe they might take them over the summer so they can do a full-time spring co-op. So those are the common ways in which we're seeing students get experiences. We also, especially as we're rolling out this universal co-op requirement, we're going to have an option for students to do something called an experiential exploration project. So that should still be something that is robust in terms of timeline. It shouldn't be like a 1 to 2 week project. We're looking at, 10 weeks, at least the length of a semester project that is hyper specific to either the area that they're interested in working one day, their major area of study, or something that a professor maybe that they're working closely with has deemed an important research project in their field. So those, again, very flexible, can look many different ways, but that would be an uncommon way in which we would approve a student of a co-op experience.
Sure. And your office is making sure that as best as you possibly can through your connections and also working with other entities within Lindner and the university that there are as many co-op opportunities available for students because we're bringing more and more students into co-op, correct?
Yeah, and that's exciting, a very exciting time for us too. We're starting to expand our employer reach, not just regionally, but nationally. Our team is very committed to finding more and more quality opportunities for our students. And our employer relations team is actually going on a trip to Texas this year, where they'll be meeting with some major companies, which is really exciting.
Always expanding those networks. And speaking of networks, when a student comes and meets with you and is maybe a little confused or is feeling anxious and asks, how do I expand my professional network without any co-op or job experience? How do you respond to that?
Yes. I think the first thing when it comes to like quote unquote networking, we need to roll it back. It's just making a friend, making a new relationship at the end of the day. And I tell this to all of my students, people want to help people. We just have to tell them how. And especially people want to help college students. So when you think about building your network or building relationships, working with your career coach, going to different events like the career fair, tabling events where employers are here in the building in our atrium tabling. This happens almost weekly, going to info sessions, really being engaged in attending those things, talking with the employer one-on-one afterwards, asking the career coach for a personal introduction, and then saying, this is what I'm studying. These are what my interests are. What advice do you have for me? Or even get more specific than that. And, do you have any opportunities to shadow you? Or is there anyone else in the company that you would recommend connecting me to, or that I should reach out to learn about their experience at this organization? People, I think, we get in our own heads of networking and what it can look like. And
100%,
yeah, ultimately it is just making friendships and really just being interested and interesting in what you're talking about.
Right. And then it's like anything else in life. It's the smallest detail or gesture that can lead to something else. And you can't visualize that until you actually go and do it and try and meet that new person or meet that new company, et cetera.
Yeah. And one thing I would say, younger students, because it can be challenging to find a co-op as a first year,
For sure.
we should think big picture and long-term here. So if there is an employer or an alumni or even here in the building, like a professor that you really admire, you're interested in, you want to work with, or you want to work for that organization, start planting those seeds now, make connections, introduce yourself, because when it does come time for you to apply or they're now accepting you at junior year, they'll remember you. And you're going to be way more likely to get the opportunity quicker, or at least get in the process quicker if they know you. So it's okay if we're not landing something immediately. If you're planting those seeds, that is part of this experience.
Right. It's about building your whole portfolio, so to speak. Let's end on this one, Bella. So students co-op to help them determine a career field. But co-ops are also useful in another way. They help students find out what they don't want to do with their professional lives.
Yes, 100%. And there's so much value in learning what you don't want to do. First of all, it will save you a lot of time in the long run. But also, even while you're finding out maybe what you don't want to do, you're still building a lot of professional skills. You're building a lot of experiences that inevitably will be transferable to wherever you go next. And you're going to be able to speak to that. I think employers are just as interested in hearing what you've learned, even if it's not what you want to do, and how you want to pivot into a new area, than if you said, oh, I had a perfect experience. I learned everything and I did everything that I wanted to do and it confirmed what I wanted. That's also valuable, but I think there is some magic in being able to speak to what you don't want to do because you've figured that out. That's huge. Yeah.
And it could be just a slice of an industry where you figure out, well, I don't really like this particular part of the industry the area of business that I want to be in, but it's maybe another sector, and I can maybe take another class or try and pursue another co-op that sort of explores that area as well.
Yeah. And I mean, the world is constantly expanding and growing, which means job opportunities are expanding and growing. So sometimes there is a situation where you find a sliver that you do really like, and that company is looking to innovate and expand in that area. And you could be that person that they bring on to do that. And, maybe you didn't like all the other pieces, but that small sliver is what lands you a really cool opportunity down the line.
Absolutely. Well, my thanks to Bella for stopping by to help demystify co-op at Lindner. If you're looking for more information on co-op, visit business.uc.edu. A friendly reminder, you can listen to Bearcats Mean Business on Spotify, YouTube, or Amazon Music. If you can spare a few minutes, please subscribe, rate, and review us. On the next episode of Bearcats Mean Business, Lindner Dean Marianne Lewis will sit down with Phil D. Collins, chairman of the University of Cincinnati's Board of Trustees, and a Lindner graduate. Go Bearcats!